Hey gang, Chonky here. Today I'm going to be giving you my full breakdown of Ragewind Castle. We're going to go over each boss as well as my strategies to beat them and what they drop. There's a lot of stuff to get in this dungeon and a lot of cool secrets along the way. There's a chance to use 2 items found in the Dark Hollow, actually farmed from the Tower Guardians, and I have a video on that as well. I'll put that in the description. So, Ragewind Castle is difficult, and I mean extremely difficult. So difficult that I can't really solo the dungeon most of the time. And that's coming from someone who has extremely geared characters. You guys have seen my videos maybe on the gear that I made getting ready for Ragewind. My characters are decked out, and playing it solo, they still have a hard time sometimes. So that being said, I recommend playing it with your friends. It makes it a lot easier. And the elite sets are well worth the time to farm. I will be making a video including all the elite sets in Ragewind and what they do, as well as what they look like, so that you guys can know what you're getting yourselves into. If you're struggling to survive in dungeons like the Dreadforge, or the Icy Depths, or the Festering Bog, then you are definitely not ready for Ragewind Castle, and you are going to need to spend some time farming to make yourself some better gear. That being said, we're going to jump into it. I'm going to play with my wizard. Right away, you're going to want to talk to Commander Kent. He updates your quest. And then you have Crick over here. If you don't have any of Samrock's Wicked Grog, you're going to want to buy some. If you don't have a treasure finder, you're going to want to buy one. There's so many Crick's treasure boxes found around the map now, and they all give anywhere from 1 to 6 eternal drops. Now, the items may not be very good, but that's up to 6 extra items that you can salvage for eternal essence. And aside from just the little Crick's treasure chests on the ground, this dungeon gives you a huge amount of eternal essence. So coming in here, you have a lot of just regular guys. You're gonna hear a bunch of commotion. There's normally some NPCs over here. These guys don't do anything. They're just here to look cool. Honestly, this little hillside right here is one of the more annoying parts of the dungeon, just because of how much CC you'll come into contact with. So I think this is another little check where if this first area you die repeatedly, you're probably just not ready for the dungeon yet. But moving on, ready to take on the first boss, which is actually where our quest leads us. You have to take down Rickdon. He's a returning boss from the Crypt of Horrors. He's got a different mechanic this time. Last time he had a bubble that would make him invincible until you killed his little cult follower that was making the bubble. But now he has a one-hit KO mechanic, which I will show you guys what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to avoid it.
I have ascended in the service of the Master.
You're going to want to deal a certain amount of damage before it happens, and he starts talking. There's a dialogue option that starts going on.
Before his might. You dare challenge him? I shall bring you to your knees.
Okay. So see how quickly I died? So the way you avoid the one-hit KO mechanic is if you watch when he summons this ice pillar, there's like a little AoE around it. You're going to want to stay in this. This will make you immune to his one-hit KO mechanic. So sort of watch the way his spells are going to sort of stay in a safe spot in this field. And you'll notice I'm now taking like only a couple hundred damage each tick instead of thousands. When he's done doing it, he'll summon another ice pillar. You're going to want to go ahead and just move over to that location. If you're playing a champion, this fight's going to be a little bit more difficult. Just because, you know, you have to get into his face to hurt him.
Dare challenge him?
Well, he only did it once for me.
I
Nice.
shall bring you to your knee.
There you go. You also have a chance of getting one of your set pieces from him, the jewelry. I think what I'm going to do is I'll just let you guys see the drops I get, and then on another video I will show you specifically what every boss drops. Otherwise this video is going to be like over an hour long. And it's or way longer than that because I have to run through the whole dungeon anyway. So we'll do an Elite Sets drop in another video. Okay, so I kind of glossed over this room. So when you get into this room with the ice river, your goal is to go downstream over there. But if you move, just come right across over here, kind of tucked away in the corner, there's another boss, which you're definitely going to want to kill. I just got a follow. I'm recording right now through OBS. I'm not live on Twitch, but I just got a follow randomly while I'm offline. That's cool. So thank you for the follow, Metal Thug. That's awesome. So this boss is Elder Gelaron. He's an ice mage. He's got, like, he uses this move. He has a void orb, kind of similar to Volterra from the Bog. It's very, very strong. You don't want it to hit you. When you start the fight, he's going to make that spell where it's like a rectangle and like ice is falling down. And after that, you'll hear him do the wind up, the woof, 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 woof. I know that's 100% exactly how the move sounds, but he does a little wind up and then fires the void orb or chaos orb. You want to avoid that move and then lay into him because it goes on cooldown for a few seconds. So when I start the fight, watch him do that. He's going to make the ice fall and then he's going to shoot the orb. So stay out of the way. Other than that, he's not extremely difficult. You just need to watch out for those two spells mainly. And if you're having trouble with his ads, make sure to kill them first. So you'll notice for that boss, I got a key. That key is used later in this dungeon. You're going to want to hang on to it. So we're going to come over here. So here's our next boss fight. Kill the ads real quick. So this boss is Snowtech. This is actually one of the dungeon masters in the Dungeons of Sundaria Discord. Shout out to Snowtech. Good guy. Best champion I've ever seen. He has a really good flowchart for his DPS. But here he's just a little ice golem. He's actually like kind of strong. If you're not paying attention, he'll kick the crap out of you. Yeah, he has a move where he pulls you in, and then he has, you know, the big AoE move that a lot of other bosses in the game have where they wind up and then slam down. He only gives Eternal Essence. No special drops from Snowtech. So these spiders, be sure to kill them. There's an audio bug right now where if you don't kill them and you just run by them, you hear them do their ice attack constantly. It's really annoying. Okay, so earlier I mentioned that you would need 2 items from the Dark Hollow for this dungeon, and this is one of those instances. So this altar is for Iroh Coldlight. He's one of the hardest bosses in the dungeon, in my opinion, if you fight him solo, because of the moves you're about to see. So the way you activate it is if you walk up and touch it, it'll say that you're too warm. Well, there's an item from the Dark Hollow that's all about being cold, and that's the Cold Heart Dagger. So if you equip the Cold Heart Dagger, you don't really have to do anything else aside from equip it. Walk up and touch the altar, and then it'll give you a prompt to touch it again. If you do that, then Iroh Coldlight will spawn.
Sundaria is mine.
Now this boss, he does this move where he will do 2 different ice attacks. He has an Ice Kamehameha, and then he has this move, which absolutely shreds. So you need to avoid it at all costs. This is very much a patient fight if you're doing it solo. Yeah, the ice spell does follow you. Oh, dang. Okay. It follows you and he slows you down. So it will be very easy to die if you get stuck in the middle of that thing, because I think it ticks multiple times. Let's see if we can activate it. Nope, the altar has disappeared. Okay. Before, when I was testing the dungeon, you could do it multiple times, and now they've made it where it's a one and done. So if you fail it, you have to restart the dungeon and come back to it. Now, what does he give you, per se? I will get into that at the end of the video. If you look over here, you can see there is a Crick's chest. There is a way to get it. So this ice water is not an instant death. You do take a couple ticks of damage. But if you jump, and then at the apex of your jump, dodge towards it, you should be able to make it. Oh, I went underneath it. Oh, well, that's how you do it. You jump over there, and if you're playing as a ranger, you can increase your movement speed with the buff. It makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, it's just a little Crick's chest, so there's a few extra eternal drops there waiting for you.
Your corpses shall feed. Soon be nothing more than food for the Great One. You are feeble and weak.
I'm going to let this guy kill me, and then I want to talk about him.
Enough.
Okay, so this boss, Arturin Malistaire, he's another really difficult boss fight. He is 100% skippable, so if you're having problems beating him, you know, there's no shame in just going to the left. He does drop the first Elite Fragment of the dungeon. It's for the armor set. But things to watch out for with him, he will create a series of ice tornadoes that converge on a target. They do a lot of damage. He smacks the ground with his two-handed hammer, and it leaves a pool of ice. That does a lot of damage. Even if you step in it later on, it ticks a lot. He has a move where he will zigzag around. He dashes really fast, almost like he's teleporting, and he will do that to every player. So if you have a group of people, he will quite literally just zoop, 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 like try to get everybody if he can. So you need to be very fast. You need to be getting away from his spells as much as possible. If you're a ranged class, it's a little bit easier. If you're playing a champion, actually, I was able to solo him with my champion as long as I stayed out of the ice pool that he makes. You'll see him smack the ground. Other than that, you know, champion, it wasn't too bad. Just pop your Skin of Stone, and just stay away from, you know, when all the tornadoes get in, get out of there and heal up. But other than that, classes like Cleric, he pops very quickly because the Divine Shield for the Cleric doesn't come back from cooldown as fast as it used to. So once your shield is down, you're really vulnerable, and he's always moving. So the Cleric, even though they have really good AoE, their best damaging ability, which is Arbiter's Fury, where the Cleric throws out those hammers, you can't really hit him with this move because he's moving around so much they don't really hit. So Ranger's not as bad, Rogue's not as bad, Champion's okay. With the Wizard, as long as you're using Ember Eruption, where you make a clone and that distracts people, you can solo him without much difficulty. But out of all the classes, the one I struggled with the most on beating him with is the Cleric. So just keep that in mind. He does a lot of damage up front, and he's got a pretty sizable health pool. I'm going to come over here and kill this guy first. The less adds, the better.
You are feeble and weak.
There's the dashing I was telling you about.
You are feeble and weak. Enough! You are feeble and weak. You are feeble and weak. Feed upon my flesh, oh great one.
So the next boss fight is literally right down the hallway. This boss is much easier than Artorin, but that doesn't mean that it's not a strong boss. Okay, so this boss is Hatharax. They drop another fragment, or Elite Fragment. And the strategy with this boss is they don't move. They just stay in that singular spot. But what they do is they will grab your hero and pull them towards them. They also have a move where they put these lines of like fire damage on the ground, and they'll drag you through them. And they do a lot of damage. There is this little cubby right here that you can hide in. But be careful because you can still get hit by AoE moves from the boss and the adds that they spawn. So it's not really reliable to sit in there. My favorite strategy is to just tuck yourself into this corner. And unless you're a melee class, if you're a rogue or a champion, you have to get in there. But by sitting in that corner, when the spider starts to pull you in, you're not really getting dragged through all the AoE. You just kind of take a little bit of damage on your way to the spider. So it's been working out for me so far. If you guys find out something different, try it out. But yeah.
You dare to enter my domain and kill my followers.
I'm lucky they didn't do the move where they put all the AoE damage on the ground. So that was actually probably the easiest fight I've had against Hatharax. But normally they will throw several lines on the ground of damage, and they'll pull you through it, and it'll kill you pretty easily because you can't get out unless you break the CC. So getting into this part of the dungeon, we're going to start seeing a bunch of enemies get repeated. And I wanted to talk about them a little bit. There's the Headhunters, the Death Knights, and what was these little Spectre guys? Yeah, the Grave Wardens. So the Grave Wardens have a grab that lasts for like 3 seconds, where they grab you, slam you on the ground, push you back, and if there's multiple Grave Wardens, they will grab you one after another. So kill them as quickly as possible. The Headhunters, which are these guys with the dual-wield axes and no head, they don't really have any CC, but they hit for a lot of damage. And once they start swinging, they don't stop. So you'll see them charge from across the screen, just chopping at you. Kill them, because once they get on you, they'll just burst you down if there's a couple of them. So be careful of that. And then there's also the Death Knights, which are, you know, just skeletal knights. They don't really stand out too much. But what they do is they do like this ripple AoE around them. And you'll notice you get a debuff. It'll pop up right on you. It'll pop up on your bar. It'll be like a skeleton thing. I'll try and point it out in the next fight. But if you get 20 stacks, it's instant death. So you need to kill Death Knights as quickly as you can, because there are some fights where you'll just see like 3 or 4 of them come in at you with their little ripple AoE, and you'll just see the stacks start to pile up. So watch out for Death Knights, watch out for Grave Wardens, watch out for Headhunters. And this fight, Cecil and Cedric, it can be a little imposing if you don't have a lot of AoE damage. Playing the Wizard and the Cleric, it's not that bad. But when I was playing on my champion, my best strategy was to use Coal the Weak and Upheaval to take care of all the adds and then burst them down. But they also will put they'll put little pools of damage around them so you can't get close for a moment. They also have this really cool flippy move where they flip through the air like a maniac and slam their hammer down on you. And if they hit you, you can get far enough away from them where they'll miss. But if they hit you, you get stunned for a few seconds. So while they're doing all of this, they will summon adds along the way, and it's random. There's no real like formula as to what is coming to attack you, but it can be Grave Wardens, it can be Headhunters, it can be Death Knights. So while you're fighting these two, you also have waves of enemies coming in. So you just really need to be on top of it and make sure that you're not getting CC'd near the bosses, because the moment you see them both put their hands on the ground, well, they can do it separately, but they like to do it together. Once they put their hand on the ground, they'll make the pool of damage, and both of them will hurt you, and you'll die like that. So, that being said, let's get into it.
Stand ready, Cedric, and show them the might of the Lich.
This flippy move and ended up behind me. Okay, so here's a Death Knight right here. I'll see if I can show you. Okay, so that's the move. And if you notice, I'm getting that debuff right there, the skeleton. I have 3 stacks. At 20, I die. So kill the Death Knights. Oh, I got grabbed by the Grave Warden in their pools of AoE. So you can see why I wanted to warn you guys about these minions. I normally would just tell you about bosses, but these guys can be particularly troublesome. And they come back a lot. This dungeon has a lot of themes where you'll fight only certain areas, or certain enemies in certain areas, but those guys come back a lot in this dungeon, so keep your eyes open for them. Oh, I got grabbed. Oh, I'm gonna die.
More bones.
So I got grabbed by a Grave Warden right as they died. That's what that was.
Stand ready, Cedric, and show him the might of the Lich.
Okay, so I think this is the first time. I don't think I've missed any yet. But you'll find these little trays of fruit and like garbage. If you loot them, you'll most often get decaying fruit, which looks like this. But there's a small chance that when you loot them, you'll get, there's an ancient coin, which is worth like 34 gold, but there's also a special, like, perfect apple. I haven't seen it, but it's worth several platinum. So I like to come through and grab the, oh, there's an overly ripe fruit. So yeah, there's a couple different things you can get from it. Mostly you get decaying fruit or overly ripe fruit, but you could get something really valuable. So I always like to check these little things. Soul Eaters are the same thing as Grave Wardens in the sense that they'll just stun you, grab you. Whoop. Wasn't paying attention. Also, I think I said that the headhunters don't have CC. They do have CC. I was wrong. I forgot about their pull. They'll pull you to them and then start wailing on you. So just keep your eye open for that. So in this room, we have another boss tucked away in this corner, right here. This is Skulldrag. He's just a souped-up Death Knight. By himself, he's not incredibly difficult. I have seen him summon a copy of himself a lot, so keep your eye open for that. Because every enemy has a chance to open up like that little galaxy thing at their feet, and that will summon a copy of them. I see Skulldrag do it almost every other time. So, whoops, and I died. Spending too much time talking and not actually watching the fight.
Trespassers.
But yeah, this fight in itself, he's like a combination of the Death Knight and the Headhunter. So just keep your eye open for that. He will sit there and try to do a lot of damage to you. I've never died to his Death Knight ability though. Normally the fight doesn't last that long. Ooh, close one. If you notice up there at the loot, you'll see that Skulldrag also drops a key. You're going to use that key in the same place you're going to use the key that you got from Gelleron, which is a bit further in the dungeon. Little Crick's chest. I got 3 Eternals from that one. Nice. Some copy. All right, so this is another skippable boss fight, kind of like Cedric and Cecil and Artur and Malistaire. So you don't have to do this boss fight, but we're gonna, because I'm gonna show you. But if you want, you can just go down here and continue the dungeon. So along these ramparts here, are these actually ramparts? I don't know. Anyway, along this wall, you're gonna see a series of enemies and 2 skeletal ogres on either side. It's been a while since we saw enemies like this. Actually, it's been like since the Grasslands. You're gonna want to parry. You can parry this hit. My timing for that is really bad. But you're going to want to watch for the rock throw that he does, and you're going to want to parry that. Unless you're a rogue, you can use Fate Sport and get behind him. But yeah, just parry, which clearly I've got performance anxiety, and I don't know how to do it. There we go. We're going to go clear the other side.
We are dead.
stabbing me. Little bastards. And yes, that rock can hit you from very far away. Oh, I don't know what he was throwing that at. Good throw there, buddy. Another Crick's chest. Now, I don't know all the Crick's chest locations, and they actually added Crick's chests to every dungeon. So I'm going to do another video about Crick and his quest and how to do all that stuff. But yeah, as long as you have that little bent nail in your inventory, this guy, you will find all sorts of cool little treasures. Okay, so this boss. This is Jiraxian Pell, which is a mouthful of a name. And he is ridiculously strong. Another one of the more difficult bosses in the dungeon. He has a whole bunch of moves at his disposal. He will summon allies. He jumps around. He will heal himself. So you'll get him down to like a third HP, and then he'll heal like 50%. Don't be disheartened. I've only seen him heal once. But he also has a move that's a one-hit KO that you need to watch out for. And for those of you guys who are a sketch colorblind like myself, he'll make a pool, which, if you know, I have void magic, so it kind of blends in with my vortex a little bit. But you'll see like a big pool on the ground. Get out of it. It's the same pool as Warlord Torgoth from the Festering Bog. If you stay in it for more than a couple seconds, it will suck you into the middle and it will instant kill you. Which is why I recommend killing everybody before you fight Jiraxian, because with like headhunters and the ogres, you know, stunning and pulling you, you'll die. So if you have a team fight, or if you have a team of people with you, it's kind of fun to, you know, fight Jiraxian along with everybody on the wall. It's really hectic and chaotic. But if you want the easiest fight possible, just kill everybody else first. And you'll notice I didn't kill one of the guys over there. Looks like a Death Knight.
One of death
we'll be fine.
and rot. But that is not the end. Come, and I will show
So there's
you
that pool
what
on the
awaits
ground.
you in death.
Stay out of it. My strategy is I just run. I just kite him a bunch. Because he's going to summon Skeletal Warriors and Death Knights to help him. But as long as you stay away from that pool, you won't step in it. And that's just less of a headache for me to think about.
Why fight? Why struggle? Give in to fate and join me in eternity.
Oh, I'm about to die. I died.
You shall. All life meets the same fate. One of death and rot. But that is not the end. Come, and I will show you what awaits you in death. Why fight? Why struggle? Give in to fate and join me in eternity.
So yeah, you can see right there, he healed himself when he only had like 1,500 health left. So if that happens, don't worry, he shouldn't heal a second time. At least I've never seen him heal a second time.
I shall
Okay,
rise
with
again.
that, Draxian Pell has fallen. Ooh. Took me a couple tries, but you know what? That's why I like this dungeon. You got to be on top of what you're doing. So, alright, when you come down here, the goal is to go this way in front of you. If you go to the left, I haven't found any secrets on this side. There's just some enemies. You can go in there and farm for experience if you want. There's not that many of them. But if you go to the right, you're going to see this little bubble. So back here we have our first blacksmith. We have a Crix box. And we have Commander Kent. So he will continue your quest line. You talk to him. And I believe after you talk to him, he just says, go kill the Lich, which is the final boss. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a couple things. So this boss fight that we're about to get into is incredibly difficult if you're doing it solo. It's going to take you a few tries, most likely. It took me several tries to actually get the boss's tactics down. So I'll go ahead and break it down for you before we start the fight, and then you can watch me do what I do. So when you get to when you pass a threshold, the boss will spawn in the middle of the lake. And once he spawns, he's going to make a ring of AoE damage. And it doesn't kill you right away, but if you don't have enough HP, you won't be able to rejoin the fight if you die, like if you have friends who are doing it. So be careful of that. He has a move where he spits on the ground, and he'll make more of that AoE damage. It's supposed to last for about a minute. He has another move where he kind of like looks at you for a second and you can see his blades like glow a little bit. I'll point it out if he does it in the fight. And then he just chops a bunch and chases you. Playing with the champion, it was easy to lifesteal through it with aggression. I didn't have much issue with the rogue since you could do Shadow Cloak and you have Vampiric Blades, and if you pop a Rejuve potion, you can, you know, mitigate that damage and survive. With the cleric, run. And with the ranger, also run. The wizard this fight's a lot easier for the wizard because we have Ember Eruption where you summon the clone that distracts them, and you're going to see me use that a lot in this fight. He also has a move where, this is the one I want you to watch out for the most. He kind of sits there for a minute and winds up, and then he does like this leap, and he smacks the ground, and it shoots a shockwave. And he'll do this like 6 or 7 times. I've never actually counted it. It seems like quite a few times. But he'll send the shockwave out throughout the whole boss arena. And if it hits you, it does good damage, and it slows you. And the slow stacks. So my recommendation is when you see him start to wind up, and I'll point it out, just get away from him. And once you see him start to do the attack, dodge just at an angle. So, you know, it's like dodging a train. Just go to the side. But you need to do it repeatedly. So go at like, you know, a good 45-degree angle when you're dodging, just to make sure that you can kind of, you know, avoid all those hits. He does another move where he'll burrow into the ground and he'll chase you. And when he chases you, if he hits you, you get knocked into the air. I've been knocked into the AoE damage on the side and died while midair. So if you keep dodging consistently, you will avoid his burrow strike. And then just watch out, because as he's underground, he leaves the AoE pools in his path. So I like to run around the outside of the ring just to make sure that he doesn't just like crisscross the boss arena with a bunch of damage. So we're starting out, and he's going to go into the ground. He's charging after me, so yeah, just keep dodging. Get back in his face. Oh, he hit me. And he stunned me. Nice. Yeah, he has another move where he leaps at you and he stuns you. I forgot about that one. Spit attack. Okay, so that's the windup that he's doing. He's going to start doing the ranged attack. We're just going to keep dodging. Nice. Okay, so sometimes he'll get a little bugged underground. I've seen this happen mostly when wizards like myself use Ember Eruption. If that happens, then lucky you, he bugged out for a rotation of his burrow attack. Oops, spit. Alright, so yeah, this is that move I was telling you about. You couldn't really, you couldn't really see his blades glowing because my vortex was on him. Attack. I'm going to try and stop him. Oh, nope. So when Zorak gets to be a certain HP, that's like really low, like what he's at now. Oh, he's doing it again. Once he gets super low, he's going to burrow into the ground, and he's going to pop up in the middle. This happens every time. If he doesn't do that, you need to reload the fight, like go back to town or come back or something like that. But he'll go into the middle, and when he hits 0, he opens up the floor, and you're able to continue the dungeon. So up top, there's 2 other corners on the side that I didn't explore. There's nothing back there. Nothing that I found. If I do find something, I'll let you guys know. But after Zorak, we just come up this pathway. And we're going to immediately come on to another fight, who is a palette swap of Malarath from Bog.
Zoran leaves few scraps for me. I'm looking forward to a fresh meal. Trembling fear as your doom awaits.
So I didn't really break down the boss before I started the fight, but I'll break it down for you now. He doesn't make the big poison puddle that Malarath does in the bog, thankfully, since it's such tight quarters. Pretty much my recommendation is dodge side to side because his swings are very linear. They're easy to, dodge out of the way of. But that smack he does on the ground where he smashes the green orb, you can't avoid that. So if you're playing as a champion, make sure you have Skin of Stone active. If you're playing as a rogue, have Shadow Cloak active if you can. If you're playing as a cleric and you have your shield, pop it. If you're playing as a ranger, you have, the Ranger's Cask, the one that gives you damage reduction. But if you're playing as a wizard, you just need to make sure you're full health, because it does with my resistances, it does about 10k damage, and I need to heal up immediately afterwards. So keep your eye on that. If you have less than 10,000 HP, you probably shouldn't do this fight. You probably shouldn't do this dungeon. You should probably get better gear. So I see this as another sort of DPS, or not a DPS check, but sort of like a gear check for your character to make sure that you're able to continue. There's a couple of bosses like that in this dungeon. This is one of them. If that green orb if him hitting that green orb kills you, come back a little bit later when you're a little stronger, have more HP, and then give it another shot. Overall, though, Voro is one of the easier bosses in the dungeon. Okay, so this part. So I'll go ahead and explain what's happening here. So this is a big maze, and I will, I'll post a picture of it, because the Dungeon Masters, namely Snowtech, shout out to Snowtech, he mapped out the whole maze with the path on how to take it. So, I'll post that to help you guys out. There is a boss in here named Stravgar, who is invulnerable when you first fight him. He's a big headhunter, so he's a headhunter boss. The way you beat him is somewhere in the maze, in one of the dead ends, you will find a floating head, and that's Stravgar's head. So you have to kill the head, and you will see Stravgar get enraged. You see the angry face that appears on other mobs. It means that they're enraged. He becomes enraged, and then if you beat him, he will die. There's also a bunch of spectral chests, which I'll show you how to open those after we kill Stravgar. So my first goal immediately is I go left, because these are all dead ends. I like to look for the head as quickly as I can. So we'll come in here, and you can see Stravgar on the mini-map looking for me. There he is.
Welcome.
There, oh, perfect, right at the door.
I've had new friends.
So the head will be like, hey, wait, don't kill me. Well, you gotta kill it. Kill the head.
You'll never
All right,
escape.
now that the head's destroyed, you can see he has that angry face, which means we can kill him now.
You'll never escape.
And now that Stravgar's dead, I'll go ahead and show you guys how to open these chests. So, do you remember when I said you're going to need 2 items from the Dark Hollow? Well, the other item you need, aside from the Cold Heart Dagger... Where the heck is the chest? I'm trying to do an example. I know there's one over here. Right? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm just... silly. Oh my goodness. I run into these chests all the time, and now that I want to show you guys on video, I can't find it to save my life. Well, there's normally a bunch of these chests floating around this thing. I don't know why I can't find them. Okay, there's one. You can see it through the wall. Okay, so this chest, if you try to open it, it'll just say failed to unlock. What you need to do is get the Cap of Brilliance from the Dark Hollow, put it on, you'll see the little light above your head, and now you can open it. These have the same loot as like one of Crick's chests, so you get a series of eternal items from it. So like myself, I don't really need all the eternal essence from inside this maze. I think the dungeon itself gives you a lot. However, if you're trying to get the most out of this dungeon, bring a Cap of Brilliance and open up all the chests. You could get some really good loot from it. So yeah, Cap of Brilliance opens up the chests. Okay, so from here, you're going to go this way. Hang left. This is like the center room where you get the loot. You're going to go this way, through this archway, keep going. Go hard right. Go down here, all the way to the back, and then right here. There you go. Okay, so let me kill these guys real quick and I'll explain what's going on. Alright, so this is another boss fight. There's 3 stories to this like tower structure. And this fight can be incredibly difficult, no matter what level you are. So there's all these new guys, the NU, new people, oh, that's Elnumer, who spawn in, and there's 3 stages to this fight. The first stage is pretty easy, the second stage gets a little more difficult, and the third stage is actually kind of hard. So once you beat, this is the boss of the first story, Elnumer. When you beat Elnumer, pull him out of those beams of light. Alright, when you drop Elnumer to 1, sometimes it'll put you to sleep. Sometimes it doesn't. But what you need to look out for is these little side rooms. Once you beat the boss on that level, it will spawn a series of standards. And it will buff everybody. So like in the Icy Depths, when they make a standard that has like a long range. No, these standards, from what I've seen, affect everybody. So you need to go into these little side rooms and destroy the standards. Because it puts a bunch, like it spawns a bunch more people after you beat each level. So now that we've destroyed those standards, we can die. I recommend killing all ads before you move to the next floor. Just in case you aggro them for any reason. So we're going to go upstairs. And we're going to find the next little like mini boss for the second floor, which is Yardenor or Jardenor. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But it's like Elnumer, but just a slightly different moveset. Same story as Elnumer, though. Once you get them to 1 HP, they will phase away. They'll disappear into this portal. And then more enemies will spawn, as well as more standards. So if you don't destroy the standards from before, you're going to have even more buffs. So go over here, destroy these standards. And there's actually 3 on this floor. And there's 3 on this floor, and there's 2 on the first floor. Words are hard. Alright, we're going to kill these guys. Alright, so now we're ready for the boss fight. So, upstairs is the final boss of new. So, like, we had a couple new bosses in the other dungeons. Well, this is their boss. This is the new boss. A new boss. So it's going to be Elnumer and Yardenor from the first and second level, and then the Avatar of New. So my recommendation for this fight, and you'll see me put it into practice when I get up top, is you can use the pillars along the edge to break line of sight, and that will help, you know, negate some of the damage because they won't be able to hit you. But watch out, because the Avatar of New will send out these lightning bolts that do a lot of damage. And you'll see traces of light on the ground. Stay out of those, because the Avatar sends them out and brings them back in. And you'll also see a bunch of beams of light crisscrossing in a certain area. Once you see one beam of light start to spawn, just get away from that area, because it's going to fill up the whole area. And you'll take a lot of damage if you walk into the light. So sort of kite Elnumer and Yardenor away from the Avatar, kill them off, and then focus down the Avatar. But be careful, because all three of them hit like a truck. See what I mean? So we're getting out of the beams of light because they hurt. I'm going to use these columns to kite them away. Oh, Elnumer's charging up. Got to get out of that AoE. Okay, so I think it's just me and the Avatar now. Almost dead. Okay. And with that, we've beaten the Avatar of New. Alright, so this boss fight is one of the more complex boss fights in the game. Oh yeah, my chair is just screaming. I need to get a new chair. Okay, so the way this boss fight works, okay, you can kind of see, you can see two big figures in the background. This is Sligoth on the left and Norgoth on the right. They are fire and ice demons. And the way it works is once they hit a certain HP threshold, they will trigger an event. You'll hear one say death, the other one say destruction. And what they do is they both start charging up a move. And after like 5 or 6 seconds, the entire boss arena explodes. Like there's just a big pop. And it will one-hit you unless you have 10 stacks of the opposing element. So how does that happen? So the way you get stacks is when you are fighting one of them, if you take damage from their abilities, you'll see an emblem pop up. for the ice guy, it's an ice cube. For Norgoth, it's a little fireball, and it goes up to 10. So once you get 10 stacks, so like what I do, what you'll see me do is I will avoid Sligoth and Norgoth. I'm going to kill all the ads, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit in pools of damage, which they drop meteors that don't really hurt, but they leave a little patch on the ground that just ticks like hardly any damage. That's the safest way to get stacks, in my opinion. But if you take damage from one of them, you will get a stack for that element. So get 10 stacks, and then turn on the juice and beat their ass until you trigger the event. Run to the other side of the tower, and then immediately become a little bit more passive until you get 10 stacks, and then turn on the juice and beat their ass and rinse and repeat until they die. And watch out for the ads in here because they're very strong. And loud.
It's painful for you.
So we're just going to go right to the other side. Now I'm just going to chill with Norgoth. We're going to be friends for a second. He's going to hit me. I'm going to get stacks. The tornado is probably the most damaging move outside of Norgoth's dash. His dash can hit a lot, for a lot. So just be really careful. Got meteors. I like that. Sit in the fire damage. Okay, so now it's go time.
Destruction!
So he says destruction, that's triggering the event. Make sure you're full health, because it doesn't negate damage, it just reduces it. So as you see, I took about 10,000 damage. And now I'm going to run around and I'm going to get damage, or get ice stacks from Sligoth. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. You definitely want to take your time with this fight. I've died a whole bunch just because I get too aggressive and I'll immediately start fighting the other side, forgetting that I need to build up stacks. So I'm just going to sit in these little pools of fire. So like I said, they don't do a lot, but they do enough to give me a stack. Now we're ready.
Destruction!
Not taking damage. Alright, so this should be the last cycle that I do. I should be able to kill him now. There you go. Once you learn the mechanics for this fight, it's not so bad. But when I was first running through this dungeon, when we were testing it, they weren't really clear on the mechanics at first, and boy did I die a lot. It was a little aggravating. But once you learn the mechanics, honestly, it's not that bad. Alright, so this room... So this is a really cool boss fight. I don't know what the lore implications are, but this boss fight is called the Five Champions. This is like a D&D party that we're about to take down. There's a healer, a ranger, a melee guy, like a rogue. And they all have like voice dialogue. I haven't really taken time to dissect all of what they say, because sometimes they all speak at the same time and it's a bit of a mess. But this is a really cool boss fight. When you're playing solo, it's a little bit tougher, but when you have like 3 or 4 friends, or, you know, a party of 3 or 4, this fight's relatively easy. The only thing I will say is you need to look out for that guy right there that I'm pointing my cursor at. That's the healer. Kill him first. For obvious reasons. But other than that, yeah, this is a really cool boss fight. I really like it.
Olga, you're neither fortified nor tyrannical. We will make short work of you.
I'm using the wrong potion. I'm gonna die. Kill that healer. Oh, he's over here. I just saw him. 30 HP.
Always changing. Arcane rise fire.
Combat or support choice. I should have chosen
I
somebody.
failed that protection. I shall return as fury.
My survivability has always been lacking.
I'm not exactly sure what that 2-hour buff on Mikhail is. I'm going to need to do some research on that, maybe ask some of the devs. But, yeah, Mikhail is generally the last one alive for me. He seems to be the toughest.
I lack discipline. Now I turn to shadow.
Also, I have gotten a cool named item, which is like Mikhail's Holy Water or something like that, and you get it from the Avatar of Nu. So I don't know what the lore implications there are, but he has some cool named items that drop. and here we have the second blacksmith. So we're about 2/3 of the way through the dungeon now. Maybe a little over 2/3. I'm going to salvage a few things. Okay, so in this doorway, we're going to get into another boss fight. This is a 2-boss boss fight. It's the hardest boss in the dungeon. Just kidding. It's the easiest. Who is it? Oh, I missed. That's right. It's me. I'm the easiest, weakest boss in Ragewind Castle. I hope you guys enjoy stomping my face in. I'm very honored to have been added as a boss in this game. In the Discord, we joked about me making a cameo, and the fact that and Chris is another dungeon master. Shout out to Chris. He's like the best rogue in the game. But yeah, the fact that they added us dungeon masters, I thought was really cool. And the reward for beating Chris and myself, 10 essence, baby. Okay, so this room, you need to talk to Crick first, and when you talk to him, he will open up a series of portals. Now, these portals are random. And in one of the portals is the boss fight, which we're trying to get to. And in another portal is a vault room that is easy to miss if you beat the boss and then want to continue. So I'm going to try this one first. Holy cow. What are the odds I get the vault room first? Wow. How lucky. So I'm going to run around and loot everything. There's a couple Crick boxes in here. A couple weapon racks. Which I do want to grab because I want to get the fragments. And then we'll get the big chests in a moment. Yeah, get the Ragewind fragments. Okay, I think I got everything else. So here we have the Vault of Gellerond, who was that boss we fought at the beginning of the dungeon, and Skulldrag's chest as well. And these chests contain... Oh, I want that chest. These chests contain incredible loot. So in Gellerond, let me get out of the way, so I'll show you guys what I get. Should have been over here the whole time. So looting Gellerond's chest, we get 70 Eternal Essence and 10 Magical Cores. That's the most Eternal Essence and Magical Cores that the game has given in one sitting. I will always get this chest when I run the dungeon. And this chest gives us 70 more Eternal Essence and 10 Platinum. Now the 10 Platinum is kind of dismissible because if you sell 1 Eternal Essence, you get 1 Platinum. So it's like getting... So it's like getting 10 Eternal Essence that you're selling, but still 10 Platinum, 10 Magical Cores, and 140 Eternal Essence just from this room. That's half of the Eternal Essence you get in Ragewind just right here. So always hit this room. And sadly though, it is, you know, one chest per run. So if you have a group of people, you'll have to fight over it. But what's cool is that the 10 platinum that you get from Skulldrag's chest is split among the party. So whoever loots it will get the 70 essence. But then if there's 2 of you, you each get 5. If there's 3 of you, 3.33333. And if there's 4 of you, you all get 2.5 essence, or 2.5 platinum. So there's that. But this one, you don't split any of it. It's 10 cores and 70 eternal straight to whoever touches it. Fantastic loot in here. We're just going to leave. Now, I'm going to go to the next portal right next to it. What are the odds that this will take me to the boss? Highly unlikely. I thought so. I thought so. Here it is. Boom. Alright, so in this area, we fight a new enemy, the Drogal, who are actually the lizard man race that you can play as now. And this is probably one of my top 3 boss fights in the game. I love this boss fight. It's a lot of fun. It's not too difficult, but there is a one-hit mechanic with the boss. So I'm going to go ahead and kill these ads, and then I'll talk about the boss fight. Okay, so the way you trigger the boss fight is you'll find Crick. He kind of blends on a little bit, but he's chilling on the steps. We've been on numerous adventures with Crick, but now we're doing something for him. There's a hoard of treasure behind here, and he wants it, and we also want it. So by talking to Crick, you trigger the fight. You're going to have mobs of enemies, and there's like 2 for 1 player, 4 for 2. It goes up by 2 each party member there are. But they spawn here, and then here, and then here. Once you defeat 2 waves from each area, a giant dragon, akin to Smolderwing, but way better, will spawn from here. Now, sometimes, especially if you're not the host, the dragon will just appear right there. I'm sure they'll fix that eventually. But the point of this fight is to... I don't know what I mean by saying the point of the fight. But when the dragon gets here, be careful because his breath attacks are a one-hit kill. He has a jump attack that'll stun you. He has a tail swipe that knocks you back, and I have had it send me clear over the cliff, and I've had to restart the fight, so watch out for that. And he also spawns a whole bunch of the Drogal to assist him. And they're all like ice magicians and shit, so just watch out for all the CC. If you see like the ice orbs flying around, those will freeze you in place. Be careful. These pools of ice on the ground slow you if you stand on it, so be careful. There's just a lot of things to watch for in this fight. A little Crick chest. I don't know why I can't touch this. Anyway, let's start the fight. There's another Crick's chest. These things are all over. Oh, yep, so he just appeared. Normally he'll like run over, jump over the gap, and he'll start the fight.
But it has been centuries
so this guy has
since anyone last
like
posed a
tied for most health in
challenge
the game
to
with Lich.
Slendrog.
But yeah, as you fight him, he summons guys that will come over and try and stop you from beating the dragon. I'm just gonna sit over here in the corner. Oh yeah, Crick also helps you, because he's a little badass.
How invigorating. Do you feel it?
I have noticed as a wizard, Cone of Fire has a hard time hitting him. I haven't found the sweet spot of where to aim. When I'm playing melee classes, I aim for the legs, but yeah, sometimes Cone of Fire just isn't consistent. Favorite fights in the game. So there's a few things to grab, but then boss chest. Nothing too crazy, just, you know, equipment stuff. I'm gonna grab the weapon racks because I would like more Ragewind fragments. And we're out of here. Once you beat Zlindrog, Crick will open up a new portal for you right here. So we're almost to the end of the dungeon. So this fight right here, this is a really cool boss fight. This boss fight will probably make you angry. So all right. Sorry. stretching real quick. So this boss fight is pretty interesting. The boss doesn't really have like one-hit mechanics that you need to watch out for. But what this guy does, he's like a blood druid. He'll cast like blood magic, and you know, he has a move where he shoots a bunch of blood lasers around him or like out from him. And if you're like in melee range, you'll get hit by multiple beams and probably die really fast. Other than that, his damage isn't too crazy. You know, nothing really to look for. But what he does is he will summon clones and these blood globes. So the blood globes, there's some that just shoot you with a laser and you can kill them. They hurt. Not too much though. He makes these red orbs that slowly go towards him. And then every now and then, sometimes it's triggered by a voice mechanic. He'll talk about like eternal blood or eternal life. I can't remember. But at the corner of the room, you'll see like a flash, like a poof of smoke, and a clone will appear and run towards the boss, Igor. If the clones get to him, they heal him for a bunch of life. That's like 40% of his max HP, something like that. It's crazy. So you really need to kill them as quickly as possible. And the higher level you are, the harder this is. Because for me, right now, they have like 500,000 health. Which, admittedly, for a wizard isn't too bad, because I can just hit them with like Cone of Fire for a little bit. But playing on the champion, the only way I was able to beat Igor is I had to use cold. Like, I would immediately rush one, kill it, rush the other one, and then if they got close to it, I'd dodge away a couple times and use Coal the Weak to pull the clone off of Igor so I could kill it. You really need to watch out for it, because you can whittle his health down over time. Just be a little careless, and if he touches the blood globes or a blood clone, they will heal him a bunch. So you need to kill his ads as much as possible.
Let us both be reborn in blood. He has given me pure blood. Let me show you.
I keep spinning around because I want to see if... Sometimes he'll summon a clone without announcing it. And I'm trying to see where they come. Those are the blood clone orbs that I was telling you about. They heal him. Yeah, keep them away from him. Okay, I just saw that. Okay, so one spawned here. And the other one spawned right behind him. You need to kill these guys. And I think I just noticed a bug watching this fight. He even steps on a corpse of one of the clones he'll heal.
Let me show you.
I think that's what I just saw happen. Oh, I was not paying attention. Crap.
He has given me pure blood. Let me show you.
I like to stay positioned where I can see the corners that the clones spawn from, as it stays consistent.
it clearly now.
All right.
Master.
Really cool boss fight. I really like that mechanic. I can't open these chests. So this chest, I've noticed, consistently gives you a trinket for your class. It's the one that you can craft. So, like, I got the Wizard's Signet, which gives you auto loot. I think it does. Yeah, it's like all of the class trinkets that you can craft give you auto loot. And then a couple other eternal drops. And those two guys that you fight when you get in here are a precursor of what's to come. So this boss fight is Praxidar. He is an eldritch horror type boss. He's the second last boss of the game. Entirely skippable. Let me preface that by saying entirely skippable. So wait, what is going to happen is you run up and you trigger the boss fight. He's going to monologue about how he has controlled everything and how you're merely just a puppet and a pawn of his and everything's by his design, and he's going to whisk you away to another, like, room, and that's where you're going to do half the boss fight. So in that fight, he's going to summon 4 lasers that circle him. If it touches you, 1 hit kill. No damage mitigation. You're freaking dead. All right, 1 hit. Boom. What he's also going to do, because he has a shield around him that protects him from all damage, is he's going to summon one of the final bosses from one of the other dungeons. You could fight Molabog. You could fight Malarath. You could fight the Cryptolord from Crypt of Horrors. You can fight Zolamir. You can fight the Spider Queen. Some of these are really unfair. So, you could fight Koron. There was actually, they removed one of Koron's moves for this fight because he has that double stomp that stuns you for like 2.5 seconds each time. And if he hits you with that, you would pretty much just die if you didn't have your consumables off cooldown to use the grog. But yeah, so the easiest option is if he summons Chancellor Iothere from the Dark Hollow, it's easy mode. You just kill him. He has like 1 million HP, at least for me, like 1 million. And you can, the shield goes away, you can damage him, and then he'll pull you out and you of that chamber, you'll see. And then you fight a bunch of those guys that I just fought. There's 4 of them that spawn, and then you have to kill them, and then you can kill Praxidar. It's kind of a mouthful, and I'm just ranting and raving. But I'm gonna test out this fight. Depending on who he summons, I might just skip it because some of them are really unfair, and I don't want to die 20 times during the breakdown.
The Weaver. Your entire quest has been at my design, and now your chapter ends. I see your mind, your fears, relive
of course.
your deepest horrors.
And it's the Spider Queen? Alright, that's not so bad.
Fate is a lie, an illusion, one in which I'm the Weaver. Your entire quest has been at my design, and now your chapter ends.
I wish you could see where the lasers were going to come from.
Your fears, relive your deepest horrors.
Oh, she pulled me right into it. Oh, I can't believe I got out of that. That was really lucky. So once you beat the boss, you need to drop Praxidar down to half HP. And then you'll start the next phase. Just watch out, because when he turns the lasers off, he turns them back on slightly farther than they would have been.
Enough of this! Fate shall be spun anew!
Alright, so now we get to fight all 4 of the little Chancellor dudes. These are all different aspects of the lich. My recommendation is to just keep running. Try not to fight them all in the same spot, because if they all are allowed to start firing off spells, they'll kill you really easy. This is the easier part of the fight, in my opinion, just because the final bosses can mess you up with the CC and those one-hit lasers. But once you defeat all 4 of the Lich's aspects, it's easy town. You just wail on this guy. He won't fight back now. Just kill him. Alright. And he gives you 3 magical cores, which is the biggest amount from a boss that we've ever seen. So if you can kill him, you should. He also gives you a set weapon. Alright. But right after Praxidar is the fight. There he is. Okay, so let me break down this fight before I get into it. I'm probably going to die a couple times trying to beat him for you. I've literally soloed him once with my wizard, and that was 50 levels ago, so now he has a couple million more HP. So what he does is he does a small windup. He has a bunch of hard-hitting moves. Go figure, he's the last boss of the game. He has a bunch of hard-hitting moves. He does one where he kind of sits there for a second, and then he throws his scythe at you. Get out of the way, because when the scythe reaches you, it'll spin for a while, and it ticks damage really fast, so it'll kill you quite quickly. And he has another move where he jumps into the air, and he slams on the ground for wherever you are. You can dodge out of the way to avoid it, but when he does this, he leaves a pool of damage on the ground that does a lot. He also leaves a pool on the ground when he throws his scythe. I think it's that move that leaves the other pool. But the one that gets formed when he jumps into the air and lands hurts way more. It's very, very strong. Be careful. He can also freeze you in some ice for a little bit of CC. He has a move where he runs up and he just cleaves. That one doesn't do too much damage. Once he hits about a third, missing HP, he will retreat. He'll fly up into the air in a bubble, and he'll summon a bunch of adds. So you fight the headhunters, you fight death knights, you fight the grave wardens, and you fight the frost demons that we saw over at Sligoth's area. So you need to, it's easy to die to them too because they swarm you. But once you beat enough minions, then he comes down to finish the first phase of the fight. You fight him some more. Once you get him just below 50%, he will teleport to the roof and await you there. If he has made a bunch, I'm trying not to swear, if he's made a bunch of those damage pools in the middle of the throne room, it could prevent you from getting to the portal, which spawns right in the back where he is right now. So my strategy is I like to keep him on the sides so it leaves like a pathway to get to the portal when that happens. And when we start to trigger the second phase, I will pause for a minute and I'll explain the second phase.
Welcome. We finally meet. I have been watching you with great interest. Your single-minded pursuit and aspirations have brought you to me. Let's see if you are worth my time.
Okay. That last one was a warm-up.
Welcome. We finally meet. I have been watching you with great interest. Your single-minded pursuit and aspirations have brought you to...
See? I stepped in the pool. Didn't realize it. I was not watching the health.
Perhaps you were never the one to join me.
Alright, so I've already racked up like 7 deaths trying to beat him for you guys. If I die a couple more times, I will just show you his moves in another, like from a stream or something, or maybe from my official run video. I'll break down what his second phase is all about. But it's very hard to beat solo.
You have failed. I am death, and I conquer you. You have failed.
Okay, so here is my stream from the other night when I beat Ragewind with Chris and Troop, who's one of the devs for Dungeons of Sundaria. Troop was hosting, which is why the Lich only has 15 million instead of the 22 or 23 million he just had when I was fighting him with my wizard. So once he hits a certain threshold, you'll notice I get hit by a big spike.
Excellent.
Okay, so this move is unavoidable. He will always hit you with the spike. You need to be immune to CC, so if you're champion, pop Unstoppable. Every other class, use a grog immediately. Hopefully it's off cooldown. He monologues for a little bit, so you have a few seconds to get out of it before it hits you again. But
You are
as you can see, I immediately switch to grog.
around you. Look at Sundaria.
Oh, I guess I don't use it?
This world is mine and mine alone.
Cool. Well, sometimes it outright kills you. I forgot that did that. Or that it didn't do that all the time. So make sure you get yourself off that spike if you can. Or run the risk of being stunned and potentially dying, because if that stuns you in an AoE pool, you're probably dead. So now that we're here on the roof, it's pretty much more of the same, except for there's one extra thing he does. He will hit you with a spike like he just did and stun you. You need to break out of it as soon as possible. It does a lot of damage. He will also summon clones, and these clones will be stationary and just fire laser beams at you, and it's clones of you. So if there's 4 players, he summons 4. If there's 1, he only summons 1. Excuse me. You need to prioritize these clones immediately, because they will start doing a lot of damage, and as the Lich jumps around, being that little pain in the butt that he is, he'll put AoE pools, you know, on the ground, and if there's a clone sitting in the pool, you can't really get to it unless you have like fully ranged arsenal, and for like a rogue and a champion, it's really annoying. But anyway, he monologues for a little bit, you start the fight. Oh, okay. He will always stun you. He will always start the fight by stunning you. You notice I immediately got off the spike and started healing.
He was just chilling on the roof for me. He wasn't floating like he normally does. Clones
and then you see all those lasers. Those are all the clones that I mentioned. So run over, kill the clone as quickly as you can. Because they'll just sit there and fire those beams that hurt you. I have a lot of health.
I got stabbed. Oh, don't do it.
Eventually, though, if you guys can stay diligent and stay on him and just constantly burst him down, you will beat the Lich.
You believe me defeated?
Now, I took this moment to grab the loot, which, you know, you get a good amount of stuff for, including a certain cursed key for a certain door that I will make a video about soon when it's fixed. But let's just take a moment to appreciate the back shots that I give the Lich real quick, because he's been a turd and he has it coming.
My beloved, come for me, my dearest one.
Hello, this is Chonky from the morning after I recorded that last video. So I was gonna tell you guys about the Iroh Cold Delight weapons, but unfortunately they're a little bugged right now. The devs are fixing it, I believe. But what is supposed to happen is while you're attacking, you can see that there's flavor text down at the bottom that says it deals additional effects to your primary attack. So if you remember the 2 moves that Iroh Cold Light did, he did that Ice Blast Kamehameha, and he did that move where he had the ice thing circling around. So when you attack, I don't remember the exact percentage, I think it's like 10% or something like that, but you have a small percent chance for your basic attacks of Smite for the Cleric, or Fireball for a Wizard, or Eviscerate for the Rogue, Slash for Champion, and what is it, Aim Shot, I think, for the Ranger. Those have a chance to summon one of Iroh Cold Light's abilities, and it does pretty decent damage, or at least it did when the weapons were working. And then I heard that if you have the Cold Heart Dagger as your offhand, it will increase the odds of the effect happening. But sadly, right now, neither of the special attacks are coming out of the weapons. I tested it on the Champion, the Cleric, and the Wizard, and I tested it on the Training Dummy and the enemies in an actual level. And unfortunately, the weapon is bugged right now. But this is a cool thing to snag if you can, and just tuck it away for a rainy day. This is the only real ice damage we can deal outside of like an ice element on a weapon. Like you can see up there on my Warhammer, I have ice element. So this is our first actual legitimate ice attack. So a pretty cool item. When I was testing out the dungeon before the items were working, it was a lot of fun to play with. But yeah, right now we just got to wait for the devs to smooth out the kinks. But yeah. But anyway, guys, that was my breakdown of my boss breakdown of Ragewind Castle. This was a big video. There's a lot to talk about. Every boss is different and unique. Hopefully you guys don't have a hard time killing me. I know my boss is pretty dang tough. So If you were able to beat my boss, just put "I killed you, Chonky" in the comments below. I'll appreciate it. But yeah, guys, up next. So the next videos I'm going to do a video specifically tailored around the elite sets and the elite fragments that are found only in Ragewind. I wanted to do a video about Crick so that we can follow along his quests and you can, you know, see where he is in the whole game. And maybe I'll do a little montage of all the Crick chests that I find in the dungeons. And then I wanted to do another video, another collection of videos where I go through all the dungeons again in general. Since the game has come out of early access, I've been seeing a lot more activity on my channel. And most of you guys are watching the really old videos from like a year and a half ago, where I wasn't really sure what I was doing when it came to editing or making the videos. So I would like to revisit them because there have been changes made to enemies and bosses and classes especially. So I want to touch base on all those again. So I'll probably put something in the title of the old videos like outdated or archived or something. But yeah, I appreciate all of the interactions and engagements you guys have been giving me. And please, if you like this video, like, subscribe, or comment or something. Check me out on Discord or on Twitch. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.